Tonight's story begins on one of the coldest winter nights the town had seen in years, the kind of night where the wind cuts through every layer of clothing and the streets turned quiet long before midnight. Snow drifted down in slow, heavy flakes, coating the sidewalks in a soft white blanket. Streetlights flickered, casting long shadows across empty roads, and the entire town felt like it was holding its breath. 17-year-old Amina pedaled her old, rusty bicycle down the icy street. Her fingers, hidden under thin gloves with holes at the tips, were numb from the cold. Her delivery bag slapped against her back as she turned the corner toward her last order of the night. She was exhausted, hungry, and running on less than 3 hours of sleep. But she didn't complain. She didn't know how to. Life had never given her the kind of space where complaining made sense. The icy wind lashed against her face as she rode, but she kept going. She had no choice. Rent was due in 3 days, and she already knew she didn't have enough. She passed the empty bus stop, just a quick glance, but something made her stop. She wasn't sure what. Maybe it was the slight movement she saw from the corner of her eye. Maybe it was the instinct that had been sharp in her since childhood. She hit the brakes and turned her bike around. There, sitting on the frozen metal bench, was an elderly white man. His hands trembled as he held onto the handle of a worn-out cane. His coat looked old and thin, not nearly enough for the deadly cold. His eyes were darting around, confused, frightened, and searching for something or someone. Amina hesitated. She needed to finish her delivery. She needed the money. She had her own problems, her own battles, but she couldn't ignore him. She slowly approached him. "Sir, are you okay?" she asked softly. The man looked up at her with watery blue eyes. For a moment, he didn't seem to understand what she had said. Then he swallowed hard. I don't know where I am." His voice cracked as he spoke, trembling like his fingers. He pulled a crumpled piece of paper from his pocket. It had an address written in shaky handwriting. Amina recognized the street. It was almost 2 miles away, uphill. She looked at the paper, then at her bike, then at the man's freezing hands. It wasn't safe to leave him. Not in this cold. Not in his condition. Amina sighed, gently removing the scarf from around her neck. She wrapped it around him. The man flinched at first, then relaxed. "You'll freeze out here," she whispered. "Come on, I'll take you home." He blinked at her as if trying to understand her kindness. Slowly, with effort, he stood up. She helped him onto the back of her bicycle, steadying his weight. The snow began to fall heavier as she started pedaling. The icy road made every movement a battle. Her legs were burning, her breath coming in sharp clouds of white. Her fingers slipped on the handles, but she didn't stop. The old man held on to her weakly, his chin trembling against the cold. Halfway there, she knew she couldn't make it all the way without resting. She spotted a vending machine glowing in the darkness near a closed gas station. She parked the bike and helped the man sit against the wall. She had exactly $3 left in her pocket, barely enough for a warm drink. But she spent it anyway. She handed him the steaming cup. He looked at her with eyes that held years of stories, of pain, of memories he couldn't fully grasp anymore. "Why are you helping me?" he whispered. Amina shrugged lightly. "Because somebody should." For a moment, he just stared at her. And then, he smiled. A small, fragile smile. The kind that looks like it hasn't appeared in years. After the brief rest, they continued. Amina pedaled with everything she had, her body screaming for warmth. Her shoes were soaked, her jacket stiff with cold. But finally, they turned into a quiet street lined with tall, elegant houses. She knew immediately that this was not an ordinary neighborhood. The houses were huge, expensive. The kind where every porch light looked like it cost more than her entire rent. She stopped in front of a large white gate. Before she could even knock, the door swung open. A woman rushed out, her face pale with panic. "Dad, oh my God, Dad." The old man turned his head, struggling to stay steady. Tears filled the woman's eyes as she ran down the steps and wrapped her arms around him. She kept repeating, "We've been searching everywhere. You could have died out there. Why did you leave the house?" Amina quietly stepped back, not wanting to intrude on the moment. She watched as the woman hugged her father tightly, her shoulders shaking with relief. Then the woman really looked at her and finally understood. You brought him home? She asked, breathless. Amina nodded. He was at the bus stop. He looked freezing. I couldn't leave him. The woman covered her mouth, tears forming again. Thank you. Thank you so much. Amina smiled weakly. Her legs were shaking, her fingers numb. She didn't expect anything. She didn't need anything. She just wanted to go home and rest. But as she turned to leave, the woman stopped her. Wait, what's your name? Amina. The woman nodded, repeating the name softly as if trying to memorize it. You saved my father tonight, she said. He saved his life. Amina didn't know what to say. She simply nodded, got back on her bicycle, and slowly rode away into the falling snow. The cold hit her even harder now. Her scarf was gone. Her body ached. And when she finally reached her boarding house, she felt a sinking feeling in her stomach. Her belongings were outside. A soggy cardboard box, clothes stuffed into plastic bags. The lock changed. Her landlord had thrown her out. She stood there in the snow, staring at her life piled up on the ground. Her chest tightened. She was alone. She had nowhere to go, and the winter night suddenly felt 10 times colder. She sat on the steps, hugging her arms around herself, trying not to cry. She told herself she'd figure something out tomorrow. She always did. Just then, headlights appeared at the end of the street. A black SUV slowed, then stopped in front of her. The same woman stepped out, holding a coat and blanket. Amina, we've been looking for you, she said gently. Amina stood, confused. Why? The woman walked closer, her eyes soft with gratitude. My father, he's not just an old man. He's the founder of the largest tech company in the state. He's a billionaire, and he insisted we come find you. Amina blinked, stunned. The woman continued. He said you saved his life, and he wants to make sure you never have to suffer alone again. She draped the warm coat over Amina's shoulders. Please, she whispered, come with us. Amina hesitated, tears finally falling down her frozen cheeks. For the first time in a long time, she felt seen. She felt valued. She felt like maybe, just maybe, her kindness mattered in a world that had rarely been kind to her. She took a shaky breath and nodded. And just like that, the night that tried to break her became the night that changed everything. Because sometimes, kindness is the key that opens doors we never imagined.